On your Thursday episode of Locked On Raptors, it's now 5 in a row for your Toronto Raptors after taking down the Sixers. And for anyone who was worried about the Raptors starters, well, they helped ease those concerns last night.
You are Locked On Raptors, your daily Toronto Raptors podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what's going on? And welcome to another episode of Locked On Raptors, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. It is Thursday, November the 20th, and I am your host, Sean Woodley. I've been covering the Toronto Raptors now for 12 seasons on various platforms. You can find all my work over on Blue Sky. You can find the show on Instagram. You can join us in the Locked On Raptors Discord server, link in the description of the podcast, 100% free to join. And man, oh man, is it a good time in there right now when your Toronto Raptors are winning basketball games. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets. To use across the app, head to FanDuel.com to get started. And we will get started here talking about a 121-112 takedown of the Philadelphia 76ers, in which the Toronto Raptors offense was once again unstoppable. We'll get into that. And the starters really had themselves, I think, their best game as a group to date. We will get to the good, the bad, and the as we always do as well. But before we do all that, we must bring in our guest, which, of course, on a Thursday is always the wonderful Katie Heindl from Basketball Feelings and the Association on NBA TV. You can check her out on the weekends, on Saturdays and Sundays. It's fantastic. Or Fridays and Saturdays, whatever it is. Katie, we love seeing you on the tube.
Thanks, buddy. This Saturday.
Hell yeah.
That's what I'm on.
Everyone watch NBA TV Canada. It's there. I found it. I PVR'd it over the weekend. It's PVR'd perpetuity now.
On the app, on channels, on your smart TV.
All the places we watch TV in this world where no one watches TV the same way. It's really cool what we've done here. Katie, it was really cool what the Toronto Raptors did last night to the Philadelphia 76ers. 121-112. They pick up their 5th straight win, 9th win in their last 10. Katie, they're 10-5. They're the 2nd seed in the Eastern Conference.
Crazy.
What is happening? It's wild. Again,
smiling through it all.
How could you not?
Can't believe this is my life.
As I mentioned, we'll get to the offense coming up. It's really good. It keeps on humming. But the starters, Katie, thought this was a really good coming out party for the starting lineup, which has been a little bit of an up and down enterprise over the course of the season. They got waxed in their first few games, slowly dug themselves out of the hole they dug, back to around being an even-ish lineup going into last night over the last couple of weeks. And then last night, the Sixers, fourth quarter, they're threatening. They're doing their comeback thing. Tyrese Maxey's terrifying. Quentin Grimes is hitting every shot he takes. Andre Drummond is apparently Andre Drummond again. Welcome back, bud. It's been a minute. And yet the Raptors starters bend but do not break. And I think just kind of, frankly, dismantle the Sixers defense in the final few minutes to push this one over the line. You get the Brandon Ingram passing out of double teams, one to Immanuel Quickley for a 3 on the wing, another for a dunk to RJ Barrett to seal it. Quickly running pick and roll with Jakob Poeltl coming around the screen, banging the triple, kind of the real dagger in this game. Scottie post up working as well. Everyone involved. And I think this was pretty clearly the best starting lineup performance we've seen from this team. They obviously had a big third quarter as well. And they didn't defend super well in the first quarter. Maxey was going nuts, but they scored seemingly every possession down the floor. What were your impressions of the Toronto Raptors starters? A somewhat maligned lineup in comparison to the rest of the lineups, which are just running away with their minutes at all times. Really cool to see them have a night where they were the reason why they won the game.
Who's maligned? You mean compared to the league?
Just compared to their other lineups, which are all like plus 20, the starters being like a -2 or whatever is like, in comparison, they've been less than stellar, but now they're a +4.
I told you so. No, I mean, I'm not gloating. I just think what we were talking about, these like plateaus, right? These learning plateaus, and when everything would click, and when these guys would kind of start to see the fruits of their labor. Really, we're seeing it now. So it's awesome. Everyone is in a very good state of synchronicity, I think. Making really right reads, a lot of intuitive passing, just like they are going extremely fast in transition, but they are not it no longer feels like they're just rushing, kind of scrambling to their spots. There's a method to Darko's madness we've known all along. But it seems like something has really started to click over the last few games. I think winning helps immensely with the confidence of that, right? And just seeing like, wait, yes, we haven't been crazy all along to keep kind of like running up against this wall. We've known that it would amount to something. So I think it's really cool. It's very fun. They each individually look like they're also this is kind of the sweet spot when you see guys start to kind of tweak things into like their individual sensibilities, right? And like abilities, what they're able to do. Then when you start to see people like having fun with it on the floor is a thrill.
It is. It's look, there's a lot of stuff you can do when you have 5 good basketball players playing basketball together. And I think you mentioned like the synchronicity. I think everyone is kind of learning how they can each benefit from everyone else they're sharing the floor with, right? And I think we saw it in that crunch time section of the game where, you know, all of the stuff they got was a result of just the individual skills of each guy leveraged against one another, right? You had Brandon Ingram getting the ball in the post, drawing 2 to the ball, making that swing to Quickley, who's an excellent dead-eye shooter who's going to punish you if you double team right near him. And then you had the Quickley 3 where he just comes around to pick and roll with Jakob Poeltl, like a basic, simple play, but that's I think they've gotten a lot of good looks out of in the past. And I think to have that sort of variability in the way the starting lineup can play is a really big deal. It's not predictable. You know, I think they got a little predictable in crunch time against the Hornets. We talked about that. And I think this was like such a step up in terms of just kind of diversifying the attack every time down the floor. You had the dump into Scottie Barnes and, you know, kind of, you know, the Sixers were not sending extra attention his way. And so he was just like, okay, I'm going to back down my mismatch and put him in the basket. And he did that. He got the putback after his own miss. And then you had the RJ Barrett dunk underneath, which was, again, a byproduct of the Nick Nurse defense of, oh, no, guy who's good has ball, send everyone his way and leave wide open dunks at the rim. So thanks, Nick Nurse. Appreciate that one. Just like a really connected group here. And I mean, maybe this is corny. Maybe this is, doesn't matter in terms of, you know, overall ceiling or whatever. Who cares? But like 5 guys, all between 16 and 22 points, all efficient. No one like hogging it. No one taking 30 shots to kind of play hero ball. It's just nice, Katie. It's like sharing is caring. I think the Toronto Raptors starting lineup is really making that clear. And I think it's a fun counter to a lot of the other teams that you see where, you know, it's maybe like 2 guys who kind of carry the day offensively and it's role players filling in, or it's like one heliocentric star and then everyone else around them, you know, in a league where I think, you know, the concept of homogeneity in terms of style is a little overstated. I think there is a lot of varying styles throughout the league. It's cool that the Raptors have very much kind of cornered the market on, yeah, we play friendship ball and, you know, you have fun beating us. I don't know. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think when you take a look at the game tables for this and like the last few matchups, that's something that has stood out to me. Basically, just like how the assists are sort of through the roof and where they're scoring, which to me is indicative of a lot of touches, a lot of ball movement. I mean, we know that's something that Darko has preached all along, right? But I think this is something I've preached a lot too, of just like more touches are supposed to give you more connectivity, right? Like that is supposed to be the through line. You could think of it like an invisible kind of thread connecting everybody, right? And that is, I think, where a lot of this, that's what leads to intuition on the floor, right? And people understanding where it is they should be in space. But it also just brings up more involvement, like which is what you're talking about, in cooperation and the ability for guys to want to share and to be like, the most familiar thing is not to have the ball in my hands at all times. The most familiar thing is potentially for me to pass this to somebody with a better look, right? Yeah. So I think we've talked also about like what is the kind of offensive hierarchy of the team, you know, and is it Brandon Ingram? Is it going to be Scottie Barnes? Could it be somebody else? And I think there are nights when it will clearly be those two guys,
Yeah.
especially, you know, if they're just shooting especially well, or you see last night, if like Scottie gets left alone, why wouldn't he take advantage of that? And I think coaching staff would then probably drop a bunch and like change a bunch of plays to take advantage of that. However, I don't think at this point in the season, and we're going to talk about this later, because I think this has a lot to do with like the longevity of this style and conditioning. It's not the worst thing that there isn't a clear offensive hierarchy, that one person isn't doing all the work and has the ball in their hands at all times, because it's going to keep everybody more fresh and freed up.
100%. Very well said. And I want to pick up that thread coming in on the other side here, Katie, as we're going to talk about the offense, which continues to just absolutely obliterate everybody. And it's not just the starters, it's the bench lineups. It's, everyone. Jacoby Walter getting in on the fun. God damn it. We're going to get into that coming up in just 1 second as we continue picking apart the 5th straight win for your Toronto Raptors. It's a delicious thing to pick apart. Lots of nice, juicy morsels to get to. Today's show is brought to you by Quo, and let's talk about something every business owner knows too well: missed calls. When a customer tries to reach you and you can't get through, that's money slipping away. Quo, spelled Q-U-O, is the smarter way to run your business communications so you never miss an opportunity. Quo is the #1 business phone system built for 2025, not 1995. It's simple, modern, and designed to help you communicate faster, look more professional, and stay connected wherever you're working. It's very true. As a consumer, if I'm calling a company because I need some help with something, maybe I have a plumbing issue, maybe I have some, yard work that needs done that I can't possibly do because I'm a feeble man. If I call someone and they don't answer, I'm calling the next person and giving them my business. I'm not waiting around to get the call back. And it's a lovely thing for you to go and, have just the surety that you are not missing calls when your business is running. It lets you take vacation and not be concerned. What a lovely thing that is. It makes businesses feel big and businesses feel efficient. No wonder over 90,000 businesses are already using Quo for everything to keep everyone in your team on the same page. Try Quo for free at quo.com/LockedInNBA. That's QUO.com/LockedInNBA. And yes, you can even keep your existing number. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. Today's show is also brought to you by Rougiette. Let's be real, making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've all heard it before. It's just stress, I'm tired, or it happens to everyone sometimes. But it's sometimes when it comes to performance, your body just needs a little extra support, and that is where Rougiette comes in. Rougiette.com offers fast-acting doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Rougiette makes it easy to get started. All you got to do is connect with a board-certified doctor online, 100%. No awkward waiting rooms, no in-person appointments. It's all done on the internet. If prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly straight to your door. The process is fast, simple, and private, and it's all handled by real doctors. Visit Rougiette.com/LockedInNBA to get 15% off your first order. That's RUGIET.com/LockedInNBA. Don't forget to use our code LockedInNBA so they know that we sent you. Rougiette, stop making excuses, start making moves. Back in here with Katie Heindl as we pick up our conversation about the friendship ball the Toronto Raptors are playing en route to a 10-5 record. And Katie, been a lot of really good offensive performances from the Raptors this season. Last night, sneakily one of their best, particularly when it comes to their half-court offense. And again, I think it's just that compound effect of having 5 good players on the floor at all times. And this applies when the bench is out there too. The bench is humming, and it's more of a shooting around a couple of more heliocentric guys situation with those second units. But we saw that in the third quarter. The Raptors put up 44 points, and a lot of it was just like Scottie Barnes causing havoc, defense leading into offense, and good shooting around him. And it was just like a beautiful thing to behold. The Raptors, Katie, put up 118.8 offensive rating in the half court last night. Per clean the glass, that is a 96th percentile half court game by any team this season. They just can't stop the Raptors. Nobody can. They're incredible. And this was even in a game where they had some turnover trouble. Barnes had 6 turnovers. Ingram had 4. But still, just a team that's really hard to slow down right now, no matter what lineups are out there. And here's a fun one for you, Katie. The Raptors right now, per clean the glass, have the 3rd best half-court offense in the NBA. The other teams rounding out the top 5 are the Denver Nuggets, who have Nikola Jokic, notably. The Milwaukee Bucks, who have Giannis Antetokounmpo. The LA Lakers, who have Luka Doncic. And the Minnesota Timberwolves, who have Anthony Edwards. So it's 4 first-team All-NBA level players. My question to you, Katie, is should the concept of friendship be the 5th first-team All-NBA player this season?
Well, it kind of is, no? This is like the transformer. This is like the 4th option is just an amalgamation of all of these guys brought together by their deep connectivity and respect for one another and the fun they have playing together. So yeah, I think that works well. I mean, that was something seriously that I did notice, looking over the last few wins is just like they're getting not killed, but they're not doing great in terms of like where their opponents are getting their points, right? A lot of it's coming from outside shooting, way more 3-pointers. Toronto doesn't offensively rebound particularly well. They're not really defensively rebounding particularly well right now, understandably.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like a lot of deficits here, right? So then you think, well, why? Like, where do we trace these wins to? So a lot of it is coming from inside the paint, which we talked about. Whether that's like leaving people open for monster dunks or just kind of rushing to the rim. And I think sometimes getting to the line as a result, but like that's never the desired outcome. I think has yielded very good results for them. And in terms of just like what you're talking about, just like this transition of it all, I think like they're forfeiting offensive rebounds in some cases to get back, or on the other end of the floor doing it the other way.
Yeah.
Because for them, a lot of this is like speed, right? And like not the ball necessarily. I think they also have the highest record right now for just like how quickly the ball is getting out of their hands and they're shooting it. Like they don't really care for the shot clock.
Yeah.
It's just, but I think that we're also seeing that in terms of just like flipping it up the floor, passing it, right?
Yeah.
Everything is really quick, kind of like boom, boom, boom sort of scoring. So I think that's why it makes sense that it's emulating, some of these other offensive, like MVP caliber players that you mentioned that are leading in that category, right? Yeah. They're essentially doing it the same way, but they're doing it through 5 people instead of one guy.
It's beautiful, Katie. And yeah, to your point, like there is a lot of stuff that like, if you kind of like, there's a lot of stuff that paints the Raptors very nicely statistically if you go through the numbers, but there's also on the defensive end some stuff where it's like, ooh, if that ever turned, things would get a little weird. And I think last night was like far from their best defensive game. I think they've played better defensive games than that by far, like clearly. But like that they're giving up the second most shots at the rim, for example. They're giving up a pretty good helping of corner threes. Actually, that's come down quite a bit. Actually, they're the 8th most corner threes instead of like the most, which they were earlier on in the year. And so yeah, there's like a little bit of a little luck for sure in the way other teams are shooting, and maybe they're affecting, who's taking those shots that are missing, that type of stuff. But ultimately, like if you can outscore all your problems, you're in pretty good shape. And I did not expect this is going to be a team that could outscore its problems, but it certainly can. Do you have a favorite element of watching this team on offense right now, Katie? Because I have one, and I want to pitch it to you first before I dig into it. But
please, share yours.
Okay. Mine is the big-to-big passing is just so damn fun. It makes me all tingly inside, Katie, and I can't imagine the frustration of an opposing defense when, okay, we got Scottie Barnes cornered. We're sending 2 to the ball as he barrels in on the rim, attempting to score, and he just like looks it to Jakob Poeltl for an easy layup. It's got to be wildly frustrating. But I think like the big-to-big passing is very much emblematic of how this team is doing what it's doing. Like you look at the pieces, the lack of, pure shooting across the board. You think, how is this the 3rd best offense in the half court in the NBA? But the answer is like collective passing juice, and they manufacture space where space usually doesn't exist because they're very good at passing. And because Jakob Poeltl has such a great innate understanding of where to stand without being in other people's way, without being at the perimeter. And I think you see him like play that sort of seeping along the baseline back into sort of the free throw line area. Like he plays it so well. He's such a master of positioning. And that leads to just this beautiful ping in, interior passing that is just a delight to watch. It's always been a thing that's like a favorite of mine, dating back even to like the Yak and Skills days, when the early days of the Siakam and Poeltl bench mob. Like, just a delight, Katie. Well, do you have a favorite part? Is it also the big to big passing? Is there something else that stands out to you as like your favorite element of watching these guys hoop?
The big to big passing is great, but I think for me, it's kind of the cutting.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking a lot about points in the paint, but that was a big frustration for me watching Raptors teams of old, especially, we talked about people like Pascal Siakam at that time in his career, just like not finishing, you know what I mean? Just like kind of running to the rim and then falling out at the last minute, or just getting chased, guys getting kind of chased out of the paint. But this team right now has no trouble with it. Like, they really love, and they're not just like sometimes they're barreling in, but a lot of the cuts, they're so crisp. They're just like so snappy. Again, this goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning of just overall connectivity and understanding where someone is in space. And I think even to like a month ago, like earlier season, this is where like we would have seen collisions, straight up collisions, or people just running out of bounds. And now I think so much has changed that it just feels very rewarding for me to be able to watch the precision that they're moving with, especially up close and through traffic, and like with defenders like an Andre Drummond standing right there. It doesn't seem to matter.
No, I'm going to say something that's going to sound mean, but it's not in the slightest. But RJ Barrett has become such a merchant of double teams sent Brandon Ingram's way. It's beautiful. Ingram gets doubled. RJ is barreling, to use your parlance, barreling to the rim on a cut and getting it every single time. He did it to win the game in the game on Monday. He did it last night for a big dunk as well. It's
I think it's really just like stuff. It's effortful, and it's not the kind of we're not really seeing it around the league right now, right? This is not the kind of emulation of basketball, because it's hard and it's very taxing. So I like sure, threes are great, but that's not this team right now. So
and I mean, they're hitting the threes they take. Like, it's not like last year where they took no threes and also missed them all. Like,
they're
selectively taking them and they're hitting them. And then they're also shooting like 69% at the rim, which is significantly better than they did last year when they were terrible. They're a top 10 rim finishing team this year. That's a huge deal. This offense, Katie, I don't think it's going anywhere. It's a ton of fun. Darko, what a wizard. You were right on your name bar. If you're watching on YouTube, Darko was right, is Katie's name bar underneath her name. And 100% Darko had something in that noodle that is working beautifully right now. We're going to come back on the other side here, Katie, getting the good, the bad, and the as we always do to close up these episodes after a game. Some stuff we liked, stuff we didn't like, stuff that's got us a little interested. We'll do that coming up in just 1 second. Today's show is brought to you by Skims. Yes, once again, it's Sean's Underwear Corner. I have very particular tastes when it comes to my underwear because, look, I like to play sports. I like to ride a bike. I like to play basketball, and I like my underwear to stay in place while I'm doing those things. And Skims absolutely deliver on that. I use the 5-inch stretch cotton briefs, and they are wonderful. If I want to go play basketball, they're a great underlayer. If I want to use them riding a bike, they're fantastic. If I want to just go for a nice long walk on a sort of balmy day, they are the single best underwear for the job. I have been wearing them for a while, since they sent me a pair last year, and I have been telling all of my friends and family, buy them for me for Christmas, please, because I really, truly love Skims underwear. Whether you're working, traveling, working out, or just hanging out at home, these feel better than anything you've used before, and it's truly a game changer. You can go check Skims out right now at skims.com. They got Skims men's, they got Skims women's. It's all there for you. And when you place your order, choose podcast in the post-purchase survey and select our show from the drop-down menu. Let them know that we sent you. Plus, the Skims holiday shop is open, so if you want to say buy your favorite podcast or some underwear, please do it. So if you're looking for the perfect gift this season, Skims has you covered. Skims.com. Go check it out. Today's show is also brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get into the action than FanDuel. the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even to miss the start of the season or start of the game, or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets and everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. And of course, it's not just the NBA. You got all kinds of other sports you can go and peruse. Right now, you got baseball free agency. Maybe you feel good about where Kyle Tucker is going in free agency. You want to put some money down on where he's going to land. Same with Edwin Diaz or Kyle Schwarber or any of the other big free agents. Hopefully, they all come to the Toronto Blue Jays. Wouldn't that be a lot of fun? Right now at FanDuel, you can they're giving new customers $300 in bonus bets as well when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Once again, new customers get $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Go check it out. Wrapping things up here with the good, the bad, and the So we wrap up every single episode of this podcast on the heels of a Toronto Raptors basketball game, a thing we liked, a thing we didn't like, and that's got us a little bit intrigued from the latest in Toronto Raptors hoops. And Katie, I will throw it to you for your good. Take it away. What you got for me?
Jacoby Walter. Good.
Yeah.
Thank goodness he had himself a game, you know?
Yes.
Put up some numbers everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like to see little assists, little rebound, couple steals, 11 points. Yeah, he looked good. And I think genuinely, one, yes, it's great and a relief to see him get the game I think he'd really been after for a long time. And two, he raises the team's ceiling quite a bit when he is actually like playing that way. And I think it's something that he does have in him all along. I think if we're talking about plateaus, his might have just taken a little bit longer. And they'll, there's always going to be lulls, like ebbs and flows to this. So I hope people were not really giving up on him. I think he had this in him all along. He needed the moment.
Certainly, yeah. Like it was nice to see him just kind of like have a night where he was feeling himself, right? Like it was very clear that he wasn't at all feeling himself in the first handful of games he played and just kind of looked out of sorts, looked unsure, a little bit like, oh, should I shoot this? I'm kind of cold right now, and just sort of slowing down the chain of events that is typically kind of tying things together in a Raptors offensive possession. This one, like, no worries. Ball comes to me, letting it rip. Even with like a couple contests, he let it go. Great to see. He also had that nice drive and like delicate off glass finish, which was really cool to see. And the defense, I think this was probably the best defensive game he's played all season long. Not easy to go and hang with the guards that the Sixers are throwing at you, and Maxey and Grimes and Edgecombe, and had the 3 steals, was a +8. Thought he was like pretty instrumental to that third quarter where the Raptors blew it open. And really lovely to see Walter have himself a game. He was also my good, so we've doubled up there. Let's go to the bad, Katie. What you got for your bad in this game?
More of like a bad potentially on the horizon.
Okay.
Because it feels like I don't want to inject bad into this team right now.
Sure.
But my worry is with conditioning, right? It's with the fact of like how the speed that they're playing with, the physicality that we talked about that they're playing with, basically just being able to keep this up at this high of a motor with this high kind of dialed in, because you need the IQ to do all the connectivity things as well. That's fatiguing. That is fatiguing. They're a young team, so the motor worries me less than being able to kind of like fire on all cylinders with the rest of it. I want to be proven wrong, but this is just something I'm thinking about. And I think like Scottie Barnes talked about this himself. So I think it's not something the team's not aware of. Like, it is a long season. Yeah. There will probably be slumps. Other teams will kind of rise and hit their plateaus. So I think the key to this will be time. If they can, timing those plateaus, taking a rest where they can. The silver lining to the bad is that they do have a deep roster. Everybody is getting minutes. So the conditioning should kind of be rising across the board. But it is something I would be lying if I said I didn't think about.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of like an underlying concern for every team in the league right now. Like, the pace is as high as it's ever been. And when you play a style like this, where there are no possessions off when you are playing a sort of cohesive brand of basketball, it can get taxing. It can just kind of like ratchet up the odds that something befalls you that's negative. We don't want to put the I word out there right now because it's kind of rampant around the league, but it's a constant concern. And one of the sort of the real, like the thing that Raptors have had going for them over every team in the league has been that they've been available and that they've been together. And so what happens if stuff happens over the course of 82 games? Yeah, it is a slog, and you're going to have moments where you're not quite functioning with all of your dudes at once. I do think, the depth heartens me for sure. The fact that Jakob had a nice game, I think, bolsters that if you feel like that is maybe a bit of a turning of the tide for him. You still have Jamison Battle hanging out, and, you could toss him in anytime and he can sort of give you some minutes here and there. I think there is, of all the teams in the league, they are in the upper end of teams that can withstand the grind of 82. And to our earlier point, like, it's not like one guy is shouldering this entire massive burden for everything. But yeah, it's definitely something to keep an eye on for all teams. And yeah, you don't want that stuff to kind of creep in over the course of 82. And sometimes you are the team that just gets charmed and you don't deal with this stuff all year long. But it is, again, underlying concern for everybody with the pace of play in the league right now. My bad defensive rebounding in this one. Andre Drummond, welcome back to being a good player again. He was pretty terrible last year, and nice to see him have a bit of a bounce back here as he just completely bludgeoned the Raptors on the glass last night. The 4 offensive rebounds, 16 offensive rebounds overall for them. Jabari Walker with 5 of them. The Raptors are still like a middle of the pack defensive rebounding team, so it's not like a dire concern necessarily, but you would hope that they can kind of avoid being in games that shouldn't be as close as that game was last night by cleaning up some extra possessions on the glass, because that really was what it came down to. I think was the Sixers got way more opportunities than they probably warranted, with 21 turnovers than they should have. And that was because they got all them offensive rebounds. Somehow, they turned it over 21 times and still took 3 more shots than the Raptors in this game. Kind of remarkable. Katie, let's throw it to you for your What you got?
Yeah, I will say this was sparked by, I read something our friend Joe Walthon wrote for Raptors Republic in regards to the way that they're kind of firing on all cylinders, going full tilt right now. And how they may, to remedy that, is the answer to back off of something. They've already kind of quietly backed off of defense for as long as we've heard the coaching staff drum that is the identity of the Toronto Raptors. Like, that is not the identity of these Toronto Raptors. But while it can look a bit worrying, especially with the numbers, the results have been good despite it. So I do wonder if, to keep up the way that they're playing, or the pace of play, the physicality that they're playing with, the touches, right? Like the high touches, points in the paint, do they dial back on things like defense? At least, because there's like the half-court defense is like yielding great things, the transitional defense, rather, like it's yielding pressure and steals and things like that. And I think that is clearly where they're thriving. But if Yak is still touch and go, maybe you give up trying to rebound super hard. Please don't give up chase down blocks. Those are amazing. But those are the kind of flourishes I think that carry them very far. Or maybe it's like offensive rebounding because they're trying to get back in transition, right? To give themselves an extra step, so to speak. So that's my is what are they? Because I think they have to give up something.
Right. One thing I'm interested in, Katie, on this is like, they're the team that runs the most in the NBA. They're the team that has the fewest half-court possessions in the NBA. They're kind of not good by league standards at scoring on the run. It's obviously a big part of their identity, and not being good at scoring on the run is still going to yield you more points per possession than, the half court generally. But I do wonder if they kind of realize, and I think they've adapted a little bit to how good their offense has been, but I wonder if they try to ratchet up how much they play in the half court to kind of slow things down and keep the sort of the rampant pace down a little bit as they go through the year to kind of manage things. Cause like, this is the thing. They can kind of beat you in a few ways. And if they're this good in the half court, maybe you shouldn't be dead last in the number of half court possessions you play. Maybe you should kind of press that advantage a little bit it's it's an interesting thing. The sort of sustainability of it all is always an important thing to consider. The for me, Katie, was that the best defensive game Gradey Dick has ever played? Like, he was awesome. He had the steal for the run out dunk. He's like a charge that was cool. He had a couple of just like, handsy deflections, forcing things the other way, staying, in front of his man. I'm not expecting great things from Gradey Dick defensively ever, but he was, I think, kind of all over this one when he was in there. Really, instrumental to that third quarter run where, no, he only scored 4 points. He wasn't like all over the place offensively, but defensively he was doing the thing, and he continues to by far be the number one on-off differential guy on the team. When he's on the floor, they're outscoring teams by 28 points per 100 possessions, and the defense is like rock solid good.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool stuff. Great to see from Gradey Dick. Katie, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much, as always, for hopping on Thursday. Anything you want to promote for the good people out there?
NBA TV. Tune in.
Do
Saturday night.
Yes, 100%. Can't recommend it enough. And you can find, of course, Basketball Feelings, the magazine, on the internet. You should pay for that because it's great. And it's like the best thing I pay for.
Cooking up something historical and fun,
Ooh.
I hope, for next week's guest post.
Into that big time. Everyone go subscribe. Give Katie your money. You can find this show wherever you get your podcasts. Follow, subscribe, rate, review, tell a friend. Always appreciate it. We're on YouTube. We're on the podcast apps. You guys are the best for supporting the show. And welcome to new people who are back watching the Raptors for the first time in ages. I've heard from a few of you. It's awesome. I'm really thrilled to have you along. And thanks for making this show part of your daily routine. Of course, you can join the Discord if you want to further become part of the Sicko Den. Link in the description of the podcast. Come hang out. It's a great place to talk ball, especially when the Raptors are winning games. And with that, we will leave it there. We'll be back again on Fridays. Our pal Keeks is going to stop by. We're going to talk about some stats from the first 15 games. What's real, what's not. We'll probably talk about the offense again because it's all I can think about. Oh, my God. We will do that all tomorrow to close out your week. Thanks so much for hanging. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. I think that was short.